What's up, guys? I'm here with Kaiwi Berry. Um, he's one of those guys where he's like the legend's legend, man. He's a North Shore born. You'll tell us, but actually, my first encounter with Kaiwi, we worked with at Ocean Safety together, and a long time ago, before I became a full-time lifeguard as a contractor, working all over. And I worked a day with you in the summertime at Waimea. I don't know if you remember this, but
Yeah.
um, um, I remember working at Waimea, and it was mellow summer day, and I remember looking out towards like the islands, and we was talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, bro, I think I'm gonna start a business one day, like with boats and stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, right on." And then I never seen you for years, and here he is, bro, family man, businessman, has a successful, shark diving tour boat business on the North Shore, underground charger. And he is now, North Shore's, one of the pillar guys for the downwinding community. And for a lot of us who know the story, actually, Kaivi is, maybe one of the first downwind foilers up on the North Shore. And those stories come from the guys like Eric Sturman and Aaron Evelyn, who were there from the
The
beginning. But
hardcore boys, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll hand it over to Kaivi, man. Stoked, bro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, and how
Yeah.
you became such a waterman.
Um, Shoot, yeah, thanks for having me to talk story, man. Um, I grew up on the North Shore. My grandfather was fisherman, black coral diver, um, you know, commercial fisherman, my dad too. And yeah, just got introduced to the water when I was super young. Um, and then, it's our backyard, so got to spend time um, learning all aspects of the water from when we were such little kids to all the way through, So,
Right, right.
um, yeah, my dad actually grew up in Hawaii Kai, and I'd spend summers over there from early on. So that's how I actually got introduced to the channel when I was super young. My dad used to make paddles and we'd escort Huinalu for
Oh, no
their,
way.
yeah, so
What's your
we'd,
What's your dad's name?
Dave Berry.
Dave Barry. Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder
he
if
used to make paddles actually, Kaiwi paddles.
no
So
way.
yeah,
You you
yeah.
you think your name has anything to do with your dad paddling and growing up that side, Kaivi? It's got to
Of
be, right?
course, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I was named after the channel.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Hey.
grew up out here on the North Shore. But like I said, summer times I'd spend over there at my grandma's house, um, surfing all those waves over there and spending time in the water on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, in what you call growing up, like our whole identity is the water, So for a little bit, I felt like my path was kind of gonna be steered towards becoming a lifeguard. So I tried to do anything in my power to not become that. And
Right.
like as soon as Brian Phillips and Kalani Brown, Kyle Foyle, those are all my classmates who I grew up with, and they got in the department like right off the bat, right when they're 18. And it took me, I like kind of waited and I was like, dang, I don't know. And then I saw their lifestyle doing it, and right there at like 21, I was kind of lost. Like I was picking up some weird odd jobs and whatnot, almost going construction and roofing and all this stuff, and tried out for the test and at 21 and got in. And like right when I got in, I was like, dude, why didn't I just jump on this right off the bat? Like this is the best job in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of ran through that from 2007 and finished up in 2017, and then full time on the boat and do a family business out here.
Hmm.
Yeah, with my brothers and cousins, nieces, nephews. We have like kind of a cool program out here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Sick, man.
as far as yeah, I mean, as far as the downwind thing goes, like that kind of came on like I want to say like somewhere around 2018 or so. Does
Hmm.
that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so, man. Yeah, I know that hydrofoiling and go foil days was probably, yeah, it was definitely pre-pandemic and in those 2018, maybe earlier, because I feel like a lot of those guys were foiling earlier. I mean, I get
Mm-hmm.
lost in those finer details of exact years and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I just flash back and I just remember everybody riding the red or the blue foils, and then that's when you know it was old school, you know.
Yeah, yeah. We were all on the go foil stuff. I was kind of late to the party, like Aaron and all those guys were down at Kahana starting off, and like Guy Perry, Vitor was onto it out here, and
You're saying
Pizell and all
Kamaki too,
those
yeah?
guys. Kamaki, yep. There's a bunch of like I feel like a lot of people that got into it started at Kahana over there,
Hmm.
like in
Hmm.
that era. And yeah, it was all my cut. Yeah, it was good times, but like I don't know. Once once I like kind of wiggled around in the surf a little bit, like, and you can kind of chase down your lines and kind of learn how to navigate pumping back out and whatever. Like it just kind of steered towards like downwind stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, your brain starts like thinking and moving and just starts going for all the endless possibilities and potentials, you know. But for you, like like you're, a lot of guys go look him up. This guy's a legend. He was just, surf from surfing Waimea to like charging backdoor and stuff. For a lot of the foilers, you know, it appears that someone like you, surfing at such a high level, would ever get into foiling. That I think that's why a lot of guys are excited when guys like Nate and John or Zeke or a lot of the
Zeke, yeah.
high level professional surfers, you know, they they find something like refreshing or something challenging or something new for them, right? Because they've been surfing their whole lives.
Yeah.
And explain to us like what what it is about foiling, how you got into it, because a lot of people spend their whole lives and they'll just be charging pipe and backdoor or surfing Waimea, and they don't need to like get this little spin off of surfing,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
cool, you know.
I I think it's just kind of learning all aspects of wave riding and even all skill levels in the water. I don't really want to have like a weak chain in my link. So even like boogie boarding, canoe paddling, like I want to do all, I want to learn it all and
Hmm.
get
Hmm.
completely humbled and have like a starting beginning point and then go through all the steps to find to where you have that in your I don't know, repertoire, pocket knife or something that you can kind of go back to whenever. Um,
Yeah, enjoy the water
but
every day as much as you can, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah. And to me, like, I feel like once you kind of figure out the foil, I mean, it seems pretty dorky straight off the bat. Like everybody's kind of wearing some goofy high vis colors and you're walking around with all this big gear and
yeah,
stuff and like but that's like how good it is you don't care what people think you look like. It's just once you get out there you're like, oh my god, this is like the feeling that you chase. So
yeah.
I think even like what I look for in surfing, I can kind of, besides getting barreled, I can kind of find it riding the ocean on the foil.
Yeah.
So it's quiet, there's no noise. Like you can block out for that time. Like how many times do you want to go surf by yourself or just with a couple friends and just talk story and, hang out and ride waves together?
Hmm.
So with the foiling, like you jump on a little downwind run together and you can have conversations with your boys like less than 10 feet away for half an hour or more.
Right.
And so
Right.
that to me makes it so appealing. Like what I look for in surfing, I can find it in foiling, which
That's
is
one of
super
the
weird.
one of the analogies that we always would say is like, man, like when you go on a Hawaii Kai run or you go on a Turtle Bay run and you go with all your buddies, it's like akin to getting barreled with your buddies for like 10 miles.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's a simultaneously like thrill. Like you're stoked to see them dropping in on bombs, and like
yeah,
and
yeah.
going nuclear. Whereas if you're paddling out a pipe and you see your buddy get a barrel, you're like stoked for them, but you're like, ah, I missed it. Like I
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I gotta get one too now.
yeah, exactly. But that's what's
Yeah.
special about downwinding. I feel like, yeah,
Oh
very.
yeah, you're screaming, "Come this way, ride this line with us, check this out." And you're like, "Oh my God, they're bombing too." You're like, yeah. I don't know. It's wild that we get to have this opportunity to do it. Like I can't believe in this day and age,
Special
like
times, man. Yeah,
we can like with no motor travel for however long, you know,
yeah,
we
yeah,
want. It's so crazy.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I want to back it up because I know I was stashing this in my head as
Yeah.
you're bringing it up. But the term waterman, or just I think you were talking earlier about just doing all sorts of things, right? Like you said, you grew up
Hmm.
fishing, paddling. I want to get in the water and boogie board and surf and foil. And I've been noticing, I mean, just like a lot of things these days, whether it's like the word paradise, it gets overused. And so,
Hmm.
like, when we like actually see something magnificent, like we'll say paradise and then like, bro, it was paradise. And, people like, they don't really, they can't maybe like empathize with you. and
Hmm.
and and so I feel like that's like the new or maybe another term that's overused these days. And this is no disrespect to anybody or anything, but like everyone's a waterman, and it's like
Hmm.
you know something something waterman, like whether it's their you know names or they'll call themselves waterman, or even when we're in recruit class lifeguard,
Yeah.
everybody's a big wave surfer, or everybody's, oh yeah, I'm a waterman from here, there, and and like it's not about like condescendingly looking down at other people, but
Hmm.
also like cheapening the word or the term waterman, and like I think here in Hawaii we're fortunate because we can be so exposed to all sorts of different water activities and stuff.
Yeah.
And like guys like you, man, like legit watermen. Whereas like somebody who says that they're a waterman from somewhere else, or maybe they just do one discipline. It's not the same. So
Yeah.
elaborate on that, man, because I think it's important that we gotta like revisit or redefine or kind of like strengthen the word of waterman again.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just like, there's so many guys that we grew up with that are like, that can do so many avenues of being in the ocean, and you'll look towards for knowledge, a lot of guys come up in my head like, legit waterman, Kaika Kalama, all those, that era, Rusty Kailana, like all the Kailanas, like a lot of the boys from the west side. And I I don't know, I just look towards them, and they can, you put them on any, you get into any trouble or any type of day that, like, I don't know, you put them on a boat or something and you're lost. You just go, these kind of guys have never driven a boat or never driven that specific boat, but you go, hey man, I don't know the channel here. Like, boom, you throw them on the controls and they can go and navigate and park the boat, or they can, steer the canoe the proper way using whatever the wind direction is or whatever. Like, they're just so in tune with what's going on in the island chain, and like where the wind's coming, what the waves are doing, how to adapt to whatever is going on. So I feel like, I don't know, kind of going off on a tangent here, but there's so many of those types
No,
of
it's great,
guys
bro.
that like, I don't know, over time there's not always so much opportunity for them to like create jobs or harness their skills, that they kind of like navigate to needing to work construction or things like that. And I don't know, that's what'll kind of lead me into like, that's why I've started my company, is because like I want these watermen to be able to show off their skills. Like all of my brothers and my cousins, like they're so good in the water at so many avenues that I literally trust them with my life, and they're all younger than me. I can have all of them like do whatever it is in the water, and they're sharp. And I just wanted a place that they can show off their skills and pour more into learning more about it. And you know, I like even Bonga and those guys, like all those guys that we grew up watching, like eventually they go and get jobs and kind of do the water activities as their um side hustle, or like just to wind down. But I don't know, they're so good at being in the water. I'm kind of mixing things
Mhm.
up, but like there's not really one answer to give you on that Waterman aspect. But I think kind of
Yeah.
having all the skills that it takes to kind of be sharp and make it look easy.
Yeah, yeah, no, it truly is like a life's work, right? Like you can tell when someone's spent their whole life, down at the ocean and doing everything,
Hmm.
and yeah, you nailed it. It's just someone who's comfortable, someone who's skillful, someone who's knowledgeable. Even for me, like even though I'm a lifeguard in Waikiki, and talking to the older uncles and our old Captain Marino and all the old beach boys, there was like a very sacred, it was very like sacred and such a high honor and respect to be called a beach boy. Because like
Hmm.
a beach boy was that sort of waterman that you kind of explain, right? Where,
Hmm.
if there's no waves, they're going fishing and they're diving and getting lobster, and they know everything. They know where all the fish are. They know when a good time to go fishing and all that. All the tides, all the when the sand is moving, all that. And then out when there's waves, they know exactly where to sit, when to go out, all that. And then when the waves are medium or whatever, they're taking out the canoe and
Yeah, yeah.
and handling it. And it's just everything. And it's cool, and everybody's so dedicated in the sport these days. So, man, like, um,
I think it's
for
just
sure,
time
like, when
spent, right?
I,
Like
yeah,
it's just time spent researching and watching. Like a lot of the older guys, like you said, they're quiet about things for the most part. So you almost have to
observing.
like, yeah, and you almost gotta like not follow, but like watch what they do and watch what they're looking at, and like use them as a book to like they have. I know when I was lifeguarding, I would just nobody really wants you to come in and tell you like, oh yeah, I swim this fast, I surf this big, blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Like you come in and you go, hey, this guy has worked 25 years here. What has he seen? What can I learn? That's how you go into that job, and you're gonna learn all of the beaches wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the skill set, you start at the bottom and you learn it and you work your way up. And they're like just on those guys that we learn from and watch and ask questions, like all of a sudden we get all that knowledge, just by
Mm-hmm.
like prying it. Hey, what are you looking at on a south wind? What are you looking for on a west wind? Where's the rescues happening? Why is the tide or why is the current sucking out over here and not over here today? Why are you putting your signs over here? Like show me
Yeah.
how to run this beach, like you do that, those guys are gonna learn to trust you and like look to you when things go down and they need a hand.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you can tell with those kind of guys where they're like encyclopedias of knowledge and wisdom, you know, you have to ask with intention rather than just ask to make like you want to like fluff them up, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like asking with the intention that you want to learn and that you want to like carry on and um yeah, continue like
Hmm.
the legacy or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's why like I'm stoked that we were able to touch this topic because the term waterman or just you know um, you know for us beach boy or whatever you know
Hmm. Hmm.
um, it's a very special and sacred term and idea and concept to all of us. So I'm stoked that we got your take on it and bro, you're a waterman yourself, so young
Thank you.
legend,
Always learning, always
always
learning,
learning. Yeah.
Yeah, we,
So so
yeah, no.
let's bro, we did a pretty crazy send, Oh, let's talk about your transition or just this last year when you really got the bug again. What was it for you that got the bug again for you for downwinding and to learn the sup? Because like you said in the beginning of this podcast, you were one of the first persons on Oahu to downwind, and then we all get busy with life, and we
Yeah,
keep.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we got into downwinding on prone, and then we kind of like came up with like, okay, let's see if we can go from Turtle Bay to Ehukai, and we had ping pong all along the surf break, and then kind of like Nate, John, and a handful of us would kind of do these funny little races, and we never really made it all the way, and then like one day I just got the huge GoFoil wing, like the huge blue one. I called the guy, I was like, give me the biggest wing. And like he sent it over, and Nate and John were gone on trips, and like I ping ponged my way, like kicking out of waves, and I made it down to Keiki, and I was like, I got to the beach, I called him, I was like, you guys, I did it. I did it. Like we can do it in one run now. Like it's possible. And I feel like it got to a point where in order for me to get better, I needed better equipment.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like we're still in the early stages of equipment building, and people are jumping onto lift, and like it's like you spend so much money trying to go down this one avenue with GoFoil, and then everybody jumps to lift, and you're like, oh God, what's going on? So I was like, you know what? I'll let this thing go, work itself out for a little bit. We had our family, and my son was born in 2020. COVID happened. That that whole trip. So I was like, I'm over it. I'm just gonna do my life and focus on what's at hand right here, and try and nurture my family and the business, and like, yeah, keep everybody alive and go from there. And like
Yeah.
foiling kind of was
Focus.
just, yeah, foiling kind of just like went out the window. And then, slowly it evolved, and, my two boys now they got a little older and like a little easier. And everybody up here, it seemed like there was more equipment on offer, and it seemed like everybody's like, there's a lot of good companies that, you can average whatever you're going to average on kind of whatever. So, yeah, my friends, Eric Newton let me borrow a rig and put it at my house, and I had it for like probably 6 months before I even jumped on it again. And then
Hmm.
John and Nate and everybody was getting good. Eric and um, Aaron jumped on the sup, and then you guys did the Molokai and all that. And like, I was kind of like, oh man, this thing's going off without me. Like, I gotta try and figure this thing out. And
Hmm.
I was so over learning how to sup that I was like, I'm just gonna go with this downwind board, and like, I'm gonna learn how to foil. It shouldn't be too hard. And then boom, I was humbled again, like from scratch. Didn't even know how to foil. Like, I had to like figure everything out all over again. The tempo is different, and like where you
Hmm.
stand, it was all different for me. And maybe like a month or so in, I kind of got it. And then we went downwinding, and everybody was like on their sup journey, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to prone paddle and like try and get in on a bump, or like get a surf wave and then pump out. And like, so Nate let me use this KT board, and I had a couple successful runs on him, like one shot, but like barely hanging in there. And yeah, then eventually I was like, I gotta just figure this sup thing out. And I had that KT board that Nate let me use. It was like one of the early versions that they had. It was pretty wide, and like the hull is like almost like a boat hull. So it's
Hmm.
super rocky. And I
Tippy, yeah.
just, yeah, it was so tippy, and I couldn't, it just felt like I was dragging an anchor the whole time. And dude, it was like I was actually just looking at it today. It was like August of 24. I restart or like was like, okay, I'm learning this.
Locked
And
in, yeah.
had like a 10-mile paddle down the coast of not just attempting. And the paddle or the coastline is only like 7 miles. So I like did a huge rainbow. And then yeah, like I just was like, every single day after that, I was like, I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna learn this thing. So I'd wake up and I'd just go solo. I was like, I'm just gonna be out here until I figure it out.
Hmm.
And then dude, the board, I was like, I people blame the equipment. I'm not blaming the equipment. And I couldn't do it for like a month. And then they let me use one of those lift boards, and bro, the first time I got up on the thing, and I was like, oh my God, I just wasted so much time on that KT board. Like, I think even the mass placement of where it was like kind of one of their first gen boards that they had. So everything changed from that even.
Dialing in the gear and knowing your gear is such a huge asset to your foiling journey, right? Because yeah, like you said, um, like if you're slogging along with some sort of board, you're like lowering the ceiling of your growth and your progression.
Yeah, yeah,
If you give yourself the right opportunity and the right gear and the right looks and everything, And that's why I think it's so special going with people because you pick up little insights from everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everyone has different styles and approaches and sensations, and there's a lot of value in learning together, But
For
like,
sure.
um, I'm I'm not surprised because downwind foiling is one of the hardest things ever, and when you said you just went every day, no matter what, until you learned, like that's the mindset it takes, and that's the mindset it takes to succeed in foiling and just kind of in anything, man, and
100%. Like I couldn't
that's
it was the only thing on my mind at that point. Like I was like I I couldn't like go to sleep not thinking about it. Like that I couldn't do this aspect in the water, you know? I was just
yeah.
like, how am I gonna figure this out? And like all my friends are way better and they got it figured out. Like what do I gotta do to do this? And I was like, I'm just gonna hit my head into a wall until I figure it out and grind it out. And the worst thing about that beginning stage of foiling is like the more you try it, the more tired you get and the more like the less you're gonna be successful at it. The long so if you're fresh and you just get up right off the bat, you foil better and you're like going along. But the longer it takes, the
Oh,
more beaten
it's
down and
exponential gain.
you're broken down and you're like, oh what? Shoulders all
Yeah,
tweaked, backs all tweaked,
yeah, it's
legs.
it's brutal, yeah, because I'm Yeah, I remember when we first started, the board that I had was like a 6078 liter board. And it was as simple as, okay, I knew I probably had 4 or 5 solid attempts at popping up. And anything
Mhm.
after that, I might as well just start paddling back. And then it was also
Yeah.
too like, okay, I'm gonna get to my feet. And it was so hard to balance. Like you're literally paddling so hard to get out of the hole to like plane
Yeah.
and reach
Yeah.
stabilization that if there wasn't a bump that came within 20 seconds, you had to come down from just pure exhaustion. There
Right.
was no way that you could cruise and look back at the bumps or just kind of wait because like I said,
Yeah.
it was such a sticker, you know?
Yeah.
And like that was a like you said, man, that was a real obstacle when you're learning is just learning to manage and maintain your body battery and how much energy you got because it ain't coming
Yeah.
back, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think
Yeah.
too, like looking back at it, like I mean, as you progress, I don't know, you learn how to like pump out of things. But I was riding like a 170 lift and a 32 mass, so it just felt like there was so much mass that I was dragging that like my weight
Hmm.
couldn't really pump out of it of things, you know, it's so boggy to get things going. And like listening to other people of like, oh, the smaller wings are so hard and blah blah blah. Like I should have just kind of tuned out the noise and like everybody else has different approaches at things. Like those smaller stuff sometimes are easier, you know, because you can almost overpower it and pump it up, you know, if you get
Hmm.
a couple of those paddles in. And yeah, I actually like, and then that shorter mast was like a game changer too. Just not
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
things in the water.
Yeah, for sure. So, I know you got a couple big runs under your belt. You did a channel crossing, was it in the summertime? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we'll get into this big run that we had because there's so much cool stories about that. But um, tell us a little bit about your Molokai sand.
Yeah, I mean, like, I felt like coming up to the race, I wasn't ready. Like, I didn't
Hmm.
really have any big runs and stuff. So I, and then to get an escort boat and like, I felt like it's like, what is the intentions to do that race? You know, like, I'm not. that fast and whatever, but I do want to do a big channel crossing. So ever since like you guys did that run this last year, I was like, oh man, I like full FOMO, you know. So me and Nate Flatch and Tolerico, we kind of like hooeyed up and we're like, hey, if there's a chance, like let's go one of these nice wind days, or let's kind of keep an eye and like let's give a little send if we can. And yeah, we one day it just kind of looked good, and Nate Fletch and I like we didn't cross the channel, and like we were saying earlier, like my I was named after that channel, so I have like a lot of like inside of me to be like I gotta go and earn my name, you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
like so it's like right there. So I've paddled it on a paddleboard before and all that, but like I felt like this is the fastest way to cross the channel, and I
Mhm.
really wanted to do it. And the intention isn't like in a big race setting and all that. It's just kind of going at my own speed and my own thing. And if we wanted to do it, it's right there, didn't have to
100%.
make like a big big thing about it, just like for ourselves. And yeah, it was super sick, like super sick. And it was
Mhm.
way more approachable than I thought,
Yeah.
you know.
It's
Yeah.
it, it's a great channel. It's a great body of water, and there's been a lot of debate, this year or over the years, why Hawaii is, arguably the most challenging and one of the premier spots in the world for um, challenging open ocean racing and channel crossings. And,
Hmm.
I was thinking about it like, man, in what place of the world are people naming their children after bodies of water? Or,
Right.
like every young waterman eventually gets to this point in their life where they feel like a yearning, like, brah, I gotta do this, and that's
Yeah.
like Zeke Lau, like a lifelong surfer, but somehow he's drawn to like, brah, I gotta cross a channel, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it really is a lifestyle, it really is everything. And I think that's the argument itself for why, how special, how powerful, how meaningful, how significant, you know, crossing the channel is, challenging the channel in a race setting or format, or, like you said, like how you did it, where it's like you go at your own pace and at your own terms, and you're there to do a dance with the Kaiwi,
Yeah.
and explore and discover yourself. And what were some of the major things you learned that day, from yourself or from the channel itself?
Um, I don't know. I just think it's like such a heavy channel that like, especially, with the Hokulea and the passing of Eddie and that, so and especially like this year there was a little bit of hype coming in, you know, to try and get my a spot in the contest, in the Eddie contest.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's to me is like the only contest I want to be in for surfing. And it was kind of like I don't know how you say it, like I just knew in my path that I needed to cross it this year. That like I've never been invited to the contest, and there's kind of some whispers like I might get a chance or maybe get on the list or whatever. And I was like, man, I feel like I got to do this as part of that story,
Mm-hmm.
to like and to be like mentally prepared, because this guy passed away in the channel. I'm named after this. Like this is just going on in my head, like nobody else thinks this way. And I was like, I just have to like I don't know what's out there. Like like I didn't really want it to get out that like, oh, we were just going for it, you know, like my boats and everything were booked up, and like I knew like if we could be responsible with learning our technique on pop-ups and like having VHF, and um, my friend was working HFD. I had Coast Guard on that, and I was talking to Kekai before that, like with the lifeguards. Like I had kind of a plan if things were to go bad, like what we would do. But
Hmm.
going into it, like I was actually like nervous. Like my wife was like, "Well, I've never seen you or like heard you be like nervous like this." Like I didn't know what to expect, you know? It's like you're going into like, am I gonna go and like voluntarily die doing this thing somehow,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, but I did leading up to it for the month before, we were doing kind of like a bunch of those Turtle Bay runs. So our biggest crossings were like near 20. So I knew if we could get halfway, that, even if my foil fell off or something, I could lay down and prone paddle it to shore.
Right.
So that's what I was prepared for. I was like, don't call anybody to come rescue us. Like, we're gonna at least give us till sundown to make it across.
Right.
And yeah, like those guys kind of got up, and like I'm the day of, like those guys, we paddled way out to Elio and got into the wind line, and those guys are way better at paddling up than I am. So the plan was we were gonna stick together, and they got a little ahead into the wind line and then dropped down and waited for me to pop up. And then right there, like a couple minutes later, I got up and I was kind of going, and I was like, okay, uh, I'll go down at like a place where I think I can get back up. So, give me like, I need to get like a little more in the action. And then I looked back and Tolerico was up, and I was like, oh, okay, we're on. I'm not going down.
Yeah.
And then like we were going, 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 and then like all of a sudden I look back and he's kind of in the glare, and it's kind of hard to like look back and foil this way. So I stopped looking back, and then at a certain point I was like, okay, maybe I'm just on my own and their buddy system together, like three's kind of a crowd. So I'm just gonna go. And I just kind of took off and went for it, and you know stepped up on a wing size. I went with a 150 that kind of could cross it, and yeah, it was insane. Such nice energy. I think from when the race was, it was like um a lot calmer, on our conditions. So it was like a good entry level to make a pass on it. And yeah, special. Just so in tune and watching, and like, your wave riding IQ has to be real sharp always.
Hmm.
And after about like maybe an hour and a half up and going, it kind of got a little fuzzy for a little bit, like the depth of the water and whatnot. I'm sure you get there, everybody gets that. And then you're making, like, I was just trying to make good decisions always on my line. And yeah, like I didn't fall until halfway between China Walls and Diamond Head. It got,
Oh, that's good, man.
yeah, it was like 2.5 hours on foil, and it got a little sticky from like outside um China Wall area, like
Yeah.
pretty flat, but
It
it
gets
was,
tough because even when you're in the channel, the bumps are so spread out and there's so much space, and it's like big rollers that even for us on, like those big 8, 6, 9 foot boards, like it's it's definitely a task to pop up, you know, in the channel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's better that you make it all the way across and
Yeah.
you know, pop up in Honolulu Bay because that's much easier, much more, or not as intimidating, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's how I was feeling too. I was like, I gotta kind of do this unbroken because if I go down, like, I know I could get back up, but I didn't want to be out there for like, you know, 10 minutes trying and then all of a sudden your energy goes down and, you know, you got to be hydrating and gelling and all that. Like, I didn't want to do that. So like
yeah,
I knew from like crossing before that there's kind of a window that you have that the longer it takes you to do things, like you're gonna break down. So in a way, it's way better to just sprint it, you know, to
yeah,
get so your
get it
body
over with.
doesn't, yeah, so your body doesn't start hitting that
Tanking.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is so I know you're an animal too. Like you're always cross training, running, you know, you're doing like a bunch of CrossFit too, yeah? Or like you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, like
like
yeah, I
and
just
stuff.
try to yeah, I just try to stay sharp
Healthy.
and all. Yeah,
Strong.
healthy. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just
so what has it been like for you like foiling and downwind foiling? Because it's like it's for me like as a lifelong athlete, you know, in canoe paddling, surfing, and you know normal land sports and doing jujitsu and all this, I've never experienced the cardiovascular
oh yeah.
levels get to where we are, or just even my legs, and it's great, you know,
Yeah.
it's great
Yeah.
physically, but like you're an athlete, and you know, explain to everybody, and everyone knows you're an athlete, and you know what's it like foiling it, and how you like how do you train for it, or do you look
Um
at foiling as great training and all kinds of stuff, you know?
yeah, yeah, no, I like my surf life is my surf life, my foil life is my foil, running is running, and working out is working out. So they all exist together, but like none of my foil friends care that like I worked out. But like a lot of days I want to kind of get a little jump on things. So I'll like in the summertime, I was like squatting just to like mentally be like, okay,
I like
when I go foil and everybody's over here saying they got tired, like I was squatting 200 pounds before that. So like, just, I don't know. I was like, I just want to have that little jump on things with everybody. So I know
Mhm.
like I'm working that much harder than everybody else. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to see where I'm gonna get tired and like, you know, obviously nothing matches that cardio strain and leg burn like
Or
trying to
even
pop
when
up on foil.
as you're popping up too, like there's like
That no, that's what I'm talking. Like that spike, your heart
like
rate
nothing
where you're
else.
just lungs are in your throat. There's not much you can do to train for that part of it because you're almost going like 180 plus beats a minute for 30 seconds, and then you got to learn to recover to like find where you can breathe to figure out how to pump out of it and find your
Settle
like
in,
you
rhythm.
settle in. Yeah. So
And you
that's insane. Like that cardio is like unmatched anywhere. So I mean I try and mimic it on the ski and the rower and all that, but like you can't touch the real thing out there.
you know what I'll say is I think the X factor in what spikes your heart rate up and allows you not to settle and allows you to stay out of breathing rhythm is it's all mental, right? Because like you're
Yeah,
anticipating, you don't know when you're gonna pop up or how you're gonna pop up or how much energy you're gonna use to pop up. Like it better be a good bump, and then when I'm on foil, but like really like, and you'll see this because I totally remember this. throughout the years when we're racing, and it's like right before the bell goes off or the horn, and your heart rate spikes just within 5 seconds. You're just like, oh, it's time,
Yeah.
and then it's like, boom, you can't control it, and then all of a sudden you forget like how to do it, or it's like, bro, like why am I so tired? Like I do this all the time. I do this like three, four, sometimes three, four runs a day. Like, and
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
gotta just do it this one time, and it's crazy, right? Because it's popping up accounts for 1% of our entire time, but it's
yeah,
of 99% importance, and it's 99%
yeah,
stress level, 99% cardio, and
yeah,
it's you'll see it's more of like a mental composure thing.
yeah,
It's crazy, you know.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
so wild. There is nothing that can mimic it though. It's like even at that's why like our run out here, it's so good up top, and then as we get to Keiki, a lot of the time it's just so flat down there that you are going down and then you're all tired and you're having to go through the steps to like be winded, be sore, all fatigue, and then try and spike your heart rate again and learn that pop up. So I think those are a lot of like good reps at the end, you know,
Yeah.
coming from
Yeah.
off the wall to keiki.
Yeah. Yeah. It's excellent training, man. Like
Yeah,
the North Shore in general, I think we thought we had it special, and we do have a special run here on the
for sure.
south shores, east shores, but more and more we see that the North Shore with its big ground swells, and it's long fetch,
Yeah,
that North Shore is like super special, and that's a great segue to talking about to what we just did, and
right.
how crazy that was, and what an
Yeah.
amazing experience that was. And it's funny because me, like I think like once I saw that you did that Molokai run, I'm like, brah, Kaiwi's game, let's go. And so I would kind of like, I think like a long time ago, I like messaged you like, oh, bro, like it would kind of be cool. I think if we get the wins on like on a
The
special,
Makapu.
yeah, the Makapu. We were like kind of thinking about it like probably like a few months ago, but just kind of
Yeah,
waiting and just kind of
yeah.
waiting for the right thing. And then, yeah, man, and then we made it happen. I think that was probably, I've done a lot of crazy runs over my life, or just this short downwinding journey, but that
Hmm.
was probably most memorable that I've had. Um, and it ticks
It,
off every box, right? But
yeah.
yeah, let's get into it, man. That was epic.
I mean, I think it's like when it's a first time doing those types of runs, there's so much like uncertainty about things, you know? One, if you're even gonna make it, or like where your exit point will be if things don't go as planned, you know? And yeah, what the terrain's gonna look like I don't know, it's so like voyaging, right? It's so adventurous and like exciting, nervous, like so many feelings that make you just like, I don't know, feel alive. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so sick. Yeah, and like it puts you in like such a, I don't know, they call it, what do they call it? Flow
flow
state,
state.
right?
Yeah,
So you're just reacting and going off of instinct and like looking what's directly in front of you, and yeah, that run was every bit of everything that we were looking for, and
yeah.
it was rare. I Again, I felt super bad making the call on the paddle out at Turtle Bay. You know, like I I've had that channel, like there was a lot of northeast swell maybe like 2 months ago, and it was like 10 feet or so, and I was like, I knew if I got on the outside of the bumps, like, or outside of the swell line or the waves, the bumps on the outside was like gonna be
Psycho.
gold, psycho.
Hmm.
So I just had to find a good entry point, and to me that channel right there by Turtle Bay was kind of the best entry, and I did it. I kept like going into it as like, okay, I'm gonna paddle this thing out until the waves turn me around, and I gotta call it because like that was it. And
Hmm.
I did it a couple days in a row, and it let me out. And it was like in some of crazy runs, like insane, just solo runs, and I felt like I saw it a little bigger on those days, but there was maybe a little bit more defined channel with that little bit of east in the wind.
Angle, angle of the
Yeah,
wind, waves.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But this day that we had, I think it was a incoming swell, and there was long lulls, but with that north slop, it was kind of just breaking rogue things in different places and whatnot. And
Hmm.
yeah, like I said, I felt bad on the, yeah, let's do it, it's on. And I don't think everybody was too prepared for what we had experienced right there.
Hmm.
Hindsight, I would have said, like, yeah, let's paddle out from Kahuku Golf Course area and go from there. But when we did it, our shorter run when I talked to you, you know, what was it, 2 days before?
Yeah.
Nate and I did the Kahuku to Heia, and then you guys did Kailua to
Waimanalo. Yeah.
Kaupo. Yeah,
Yeah.
Waimanalo. And yeah, I think um, just when I looked at my track, we kind of left a little meat on the bone up on that north tip. So
Yeah.
I was and when we were paddling out, we like looked way up the coast and we're like, man, we could probably squeeze another 5 miles or so up that way. So
Hmm.
I really, really wanted the back door of that entry. And yeah, we had a couple of fallen soldiers on it.
You know, it's interesting because when we used to do our Kaikos runs,
Uh-huh.
uh, we would take off at Black Point, catch a
Yeah.
wave, and then as we're catching the wave to shore, and then we come out and we pump out. Like you said, like we were arguably missing one of the best sections of the Hawaii Kairan, and we just
Hmm.
didn't know because that's where we were starting. And as soon as
Right.
we started doing, like longer runs, like from up the coast to Kahala or Wailupe or when we got on the SUP, I think the first revelation I had was like, brah, like all this whole time we were missing Kaikos by like the Kaikos and the Black Point water by like 200 yards, but like
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
best yards of water on the whole run, and
Right,
it
right.
can get. So I could see where like, like you're thinking like, bro, like the bumps outside would be special, and they were gnarly and special,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's nothing that anybody could have done, we can joke about it now. It's like, bro, we let the guy who went left at Waimea and we let the guy who surfs gnarly slabs lead us out, you know, and like it's a different animal, right? Because like you have these big sup boards and you can
Oh
paddle
yeah.
fast, but if you get caught by like just a little, like a
Yeah.
soft white water, but if the white waters catches you because you have so much flotation in your boards, you're like,
Yeah.
it was tough. And I remember
Yeah.
paddling out and like, you know, um, like looking around, seeing guys like slowly lose stuff. Like, oh wow, this could kind of be sketchy because like guys were losing their paddle and or like their water packs or something, and
Yeah.
then they'd have to go back into the
Yeah.
impact zone to
Yeah.
like put themselves in danger to get it. But like you need your paddle, you need your water. You're
Yeah.
not doing the run without water,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, oh, bro, this is kind of like real. And then that first set mowed everybody, and I was just and it was like
Scramble
that
fest.
feeling. Yeah, scramble. but it's that feeling where like, wow, that sucks for them, but I'm glad that I didn't get hit. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
when you have that sort of like I'm on my own island now and it's every man for themselves, that's when you know
yeah,
it's real, you know?
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like, cause like, and I would talk to Kale afterwards. He's like, brah, I almost turned around and went in after that set. But I was just thinking like, there's no way like I can't even go in. It's safer for me to go out than to like
Exactly.
belly ride on the sucker of
Yeah,
going in.
yeah. So
And so
yeah,
there's like a point of no return.
that we're almost out, and then that I would say that wave was like a 10-footer that came in, and dude, I stood up on my board and shot my board to kind of try and get it over the top, and it just got caught in the lip. My paddle went in. Edo actually grabbed my paddle, and then my board was on its way in, and it just kind of hovered right there in the middle. And then Ryan was right next to it, and he saved my board and just passed it right to me. And but like swimming in, I was just losing it. I was laughing. I was like, "Oh my God, this is so bad. Like I cannot believe this is happening." My leash broke and like yeah, the boys' boards and stuff, equipment was gone. Everybody was just scrambling wherever they could. I swear, if we waited those two waves, it was like a 10-minute lull.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I
And
had the same feeling of like, okay, it's worse for me to paddle to shore with no leash, trying to bear hug my board and have to belly board and ride these weird 6, 8 foot white waters. Like it was easier to paddle back out, but I was like, oh, if I get caught by another set, like I'm already, this has been like a 10-minute paddle out. I'm gonna paddle another 5, 6 minutes before I get through the waves. Like, yeah, it was full on, and how exciting looking back now, right? Like that was spiked the heart rate right there.
hey, our heart rate spiked before we even got on the board for pop up, you know?
Everybody's like looking around like, whoo, okay,
Yeah.
now we got 30 miles ahead of us, is what
40,
we
40
thought.
miles.
Yeah, is what we
Yeah.
thought. We only thought it was
Oh,
30. Yeah,
I
that was
know. I
insane.
was kind of during the run. I was like doing the math as I was coming along because, um, I didn't have tons of water, and I had like one gel, and I
Hmm.
was like looking at my watch like as we're passing Kaneohe. I'm like, oh man, frick! I think we hit 30 miles already, and it's like I know from Kailua. From what we did the day before was like 9.5 miles. I'm like, oh, bro, we're in for 40 miles, and it's just
Yeah, yeah.
it was a trip, like just kind of calculating and measuring it as we went along. But
Right,
um,
right.
yeah, it was nuts.
Did you
What was
gel
your
at all?
I had so yeah, Moses gave me a gel. That's the only thing of Moses is that made the run was the gel that he gave me. Thanks,
Nice.
Moses.
Yeah.
And then like normally I like nerd out, because I used to paddle canoe, and
Hmm.
when for you too, right? Like on a prone paddleboard, your body literally hits the wall,
Yeah,
and it hits failure, you're cramping, and everything
yeah.
starts shutting down. So you need to like properly fuel yourself. But so I used to be like super nerdy about like, okay, I gotta have this is when I foil, I gotta be taking this, drinking plenty of water, and then like the race is just the race, or our longest runs are like 2.5 hours. So like I'm kind of like trending in the camp where like like less is more.
Yeah.
But I just brought the gel, and I brought like the Costco fig bars, and just
Oh,
packed light.
nice.
But I used I used to go full bore, and I would like mix banana and poi and honey and sea
Uh-huh,
salt and
uh-huh.
just make all kind of crazy concoctions. Um,
Gets you
but
too full, yeah.
gets you too full, and it's just what, less is more, because like when you have all those things, you think about it too much, and
Hmm.
like sometimes you'll work so hard in doing this, and then you lose it on the paddle out, or like you
Yeah.
go to open it, and like flies out of your hand, like ah,
Yeah,
you're all
yeah,
bummed.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
so less is
I
more.
gelled
Oh,
about an
gotcha.
hour. About an hour in, I just took a gel. I
Yeah,
just like
plenty,
slowed down.
plenty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
funny good. But
How was your body the whole run? Did you run into any like soreness, cramping? I know Eric said he was cramping.
he was cramping like about 30 miles in or so. He cramped
Hmm.
up. But yeah, I felt good. Like we're not working so hard. I was just kind of like I said, sized up on the wing, and our angle that we were doing was kind of like kicking us out into another chop. So I was kind of straight lock knee for a bit on a bunch, man. I felt like super, super mellow up until
Yeah,
like I would say the technicality of wave riding or swell riding by like Mokumanu was kind of bigger
backwashi
and
area.
tighter.
Hmm.
Or sorry, Mokulua Islands.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
those ones were big and tight, so you couldn't like mow straight down and over because my foil, I couldn't really overtake too much of the big ones. Maybe if I was on
Right.
like a 110 or the that 91, for sure could have ate through those. But the 150, like I was kind of just the tempo is like just kind of chilling right there. So I feel like how like Keahi or I seen Hobie, those guys kind of just back and forth turn them. I felt like it
Yeah.
would have been a good tempo to surf those that style right there because it was really standing up but real tight together. I felt like that was kind of the
Hmm.
most technical part of the run. And then right after that, when we hit Bellows the rest of the way back, I was like, it was real short chops and just like kind of wind swell ish at that point, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
All
flattened
the
out a
ground had
bit.
like died.
Yeah. And I felt like that's when I was like, okay, I can be done with this run. I'm good on that. Like 20
Yeah.
to 30 is like a good sand, like the upwards of 30 to 40 you're like, okay, ready
Let's
to
just get there already. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's do something else.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah. No,
wild, thinking about it to um this summer we jumped on the Holopuni, the 3-man,
oh yeah.
and we did
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Let's go.
yeah, we went from Sunset to Honolulu, and it was like a
Oh
hundred
wow.
mile run or whatever. But crossing that, man, like I was really thinking about Brady and Malae's run, and dude,
Gnarly.
we were only halfway there on that last run, or less than half. It was
And just to think like that, like one, your body's gonna deteriorate, but just like the mental, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be in the right headspace to be like, hey, yeah, let's go for another 40. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean the IQ, like you said, of judgment and wave riding and how like my my toes got a little numb towards the end right there. And yeah, you're kind of squinting and like your your judgment can get way off and your mind can start wandering. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a
Hmm.
whole different part of the game right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
But how like
Yeah.
I don't know. I just look at that run and I'm like, how, like, again, what a time to be alive to be able to experience like riding these crafts that, were all man powered, no motor, nothing, like just going. Like, imagine when we're in our 60s, like what the potential could be, you know?
Yeah. That's easy. Yeah. Yeah. No, the sports has grown so much, the last couple years, like from riding the blue and red go foils to now like a
Yeah,
91 lift front wing.
right.
And, I remember for me, like my first like claim to downwinding was catching a wave from rice bowls to Old Man's at the windsock, which is like 200 yards,
Yeah.
and like just like being ecstatic and overwhelmed with like just stoke, and then we just do this 40 mile run, and there's people around the world that have done like way more impressively long runs, but like you said, this was cool because it was a first one. It was uncharted territories. It's rare. It's novelty. A lot of guys are like paying close attention to the next forecast and hoping that it comes, but there's you know only maybe January and February that you could maybe get these wins,
Yeah.
and they usually come with big waves, right? So that's why, like,
Right.
normally when the eddy is like, oh bro, the waves are big enough to be eddy, and they're like, ah, but the winds are northwest.
Yeah.
And so it's like a gnarly, stormy,
Yeah.
uh, you know,
But
windy
it
scenario.
it
That's
almost
crazy.
needed that like groundswell energy too that came with it, right? Like that's what
Yeah,
kind of feels like it made it almost even better and like just pushing us down the coast.
yeah.
Like that was
I've
yeah.
never had a run like that where from top to pretty much like like to the bottom, to like if we cancel out Waimanalo and we end in Kailua, just having so many moments where you're just locked in full bore, just all gas, no brakes,
Yeah.
and the kind where like you can't go anywhere else. Like, I don't want to go anywhere, but I got to. Like you
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
run was like that the whole way. And normally, like runs, like they have hot spots, slow spots, low
Yeah.
spots. That
Yeah.
run was on the whole time. I was tripping. And
I
yeah, like
know.
you said, it's from the groundswell for sure.
Yeah, and like that's the thing with this sport. Like there's gonna be moments that places are unlocked and like you gotta hit it right then. Otherwise it's like you're on to the next already. And
Mhm,
we were just
mhm.
fortunate that like there was those 2 days of it that we could get a little tester that like we did. We did the top, you guys did the back, and then we are
Mhm.
linked up and like, bro, let's do this thing together. And that was insane. Like our crew was insane. I mean like it would it would be super cool to get more guys to do it with and you know
Yeah. I
or
think I think the next time it's on, it's gonna be sick because like I mean it's hard, right? Because you want to make sure like what we know from lifeguarding, more people equals more risk, right?
yeah,
If when we were paddling out, we have to be mindful, like, bro, like who's to my right, who's to my left. I hope nobody's behind me because if I get mowed, now
yeah,
there's like this
yeah, yeah,
board and foil, like you got a rolling chainsaw under the water, right?
yeah, yeah,
But it would be epic to have plenty guys, and
yeah.
and
Just with
it's
that coastline and the mountain range, like, it's that's like the steepest mountain range on our island that we can see, like there's nothing else like that.
yeah.
So, yeah, novelty, full novelty run.
Yeah, it was 10
Yeah,
out of 10 conditions, experience, adventure, scenery, everything, man.
yeah, yeah. I wonder like if the opportunity arises to do it backwards, like how we were saying that southeast from Makapu
Hmm.
up, if it can carry over. I don't know
Uh-huh.
what the wind will do if it'll. Yeah, it's really fun to chart all the weather patterns and everything with this, yeah.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
seeing like seeing it on the map, but then like there is places like Kahana Bay or you know Waimea Bay where
Which is
things
huge.
do its own weather pattern in that area.
Hmm.
So it's
You know,
cool to like
what's
get
funny
in
is
sync with
we
that.
showed up. What's funny is that morning we showed up to Baby Makapu to drop our cars and load up and to drive up to Kahuku, and guys were checking in with us like, bro, you guys still going? It's flat. Like there's not a
Yeah,
single white cap in Waimanalo. Like as soon as we drove over Makapu Lighthouse Lookout, and you could just look at the horizon, it literally was sheet glass.
Yeah.
And you know, f- what saved what saved our day, or I mean, we were sending it anywhere, or at least drive to look up. But what gave us a lot of good hope for potential was when you guys texted us that morning and was like, "Bruh, it's already 100 times better than what we did the other day." And I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
like how good it was, and like it's like, "Oh, bro, it's on. It's just gonna fill in, and it's
Yeah, it's
just
gotta fill in, yeah.
gotta fill in." And that was like the first actually obstacle of the run was showing up and just like, bro, are we really about to send the longest Oahu run? And this is what it looks like. And, you have all those thoughts like, bro, I could be paddling in like at Mokumanu or
Yeah,
Kailua or,
yeah. Yeah,
and
that
then,
because that territory out there is like you can't come to shore anywhere else, you know? You gotta
yeah.
make it around Castle Point or whatever on in Kailua or the Marine, I mean before the Marine base at Heia Harbor or something.
And then what's gnarly is we know that those waters are notoriously sharky, but then
Uh-huh.
for a lot of us to go by all kind bird piles and whale carcasses during the run, we're just like, oh, kind of nuts. Yeah,
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 keeps you sharp. Like, hey, don't fall.
yeah, yeah. Crazy,
No,
man.
yeah. I was, yeah, it keeps you on your toes. And even like after we kind of made our decision the day before, or like, you know, even a couple of my friends were texting like, bro, the wind feels pretty light. Are you guys still going? I was like, the weather report at this point means nothing to me. Like, I've
Yeah,
already made that decision, so I'm gonna figure it out when I'm out there. Like,
yeah,
this is all just noise you guys are giving me, you know?
yeah.
I'm gonna go touch the fire and then we'll figure it out from there. If it's hot and it's dead, we got a long paddle to shore. You
A-
know?
And that was, like I said, that was one of the best parts of the run too, is not knowing what it was gonna be like, and for it to turn out to be firing was just,
Yeah,
cherry on top for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I swear on those longer runs, it like I get overwhelmed if I look too far ahead. I just gotta stay with what's in front of me, just like tick-tacking right there. Because I know like I can take another step right here and then over and over and over, it'll work out.
Hmm. For
We
sure,
got to
man.
do
Yeah,
another and we got to get the kind Moses back in on it. I want to get a run with him
Moses,
and
yeah, full
Edo.
full Waterman lifeguard and Molokai world champ. They wanted
Yeah,
to come and they got sent in, and so we gotta avenge that run for them and for all the boys, um, that wanted to come but just couldn't make it. I think for sure for many years to come because of how special it was. We got some amazing clips as the video on YouTube and all the stoking the
yeah,
vibes are high. So the next time it's on, it's gonna be a freaking rager, a party.
for
Um,
sure.
but
And
yeah,
you know
man,
what?
that was epic.
I actually got to come do a AD's run with you guys, so I get a little spanked on that side, and you know,
Yeah,
maybe lose my
yeah, no,
equipment. I
that
gotta.
that's the
I
that's
owe
the
you guys a.
80s. Yeah, 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 no. Well, for sure. Hey, I'm gonna pass your number on to Moses, and when it looks gnarly out there, I'm gonna have him call you and help you out.
Yeah, me and Nate will come down
But
there.
for sure, it's crazy because yeah, I mean that's the coastline, bro. That's the Kaiwi coastline, bro. And the um the amount of energy that's just funneling from the Kaiwi Channel and Molokai and the open ocean, and it just smacks that shoreline and all the cliffs off of Hanamo Bay and everywhere with the south swell and just east swell and then just the raging winds. Like you guys are gonna trip. It's like I've
Yeah,
still to this day, I foiled in all kind of places and with cranking winds, coastlines and cliffs, and right now 80s is like the bar. So oh, was it nutser than 80s?
Hmm.
Everyone can say that.
Yeah.
Guys from Maui, like, oh, bro, like is I don't know, like 88 right now. 80s is some of the most technical bodies of water in the world.
Yeah.
Even when we had that Voyager race, and guys from Tahiti, Australia, even from Maui, and it's it's a lively body of water that I think that
Right.
guys like you and Nate would definitely enjoy because it's a challenge, and you guys are
Oh
driven by
yeah.
challenges and
I'm
whatnot.
sure
So
we're just gonna be like, oh my God, like our first day foiling again.
it it's crazy because like you gotta double down. Like you can't take
Yeah.
the 150 over there
Yeah.
because you're gonna be going with too much speed that you're gonna speed breach.
Hmm.
But then you also can't be too aggressive and take something small, but you have to be aggressive so that you could just smash through all the bumps and whatnot.
Hmm.
And your
Hmm.
decision making going through there every single time has to be flawless. Like you
Right.
can't make an error because if you make an error, the water falls out under you, and then
Yeah.
that downhill that you were just like maxing out on all of a sudden turns into an uphill and then a flat, and like you fall
Oh,
out of the
right.
sky. So
Right. Right.
it's the gnarliest 3D chessboard. So next time, but I mean, next time you guys will for sure.
Well, yeah,
You
we'd
guys will have
love
to
to
come and
come down
experience.
there. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And
Yeah.
I
What's
got a question for you. Um, what do you think and where do you see this sport going and growing to?
Oh man, I give this a lot of thought all the time, and each year, you know, after Molokai, even in 1 year's time, you can look back and like look at where you were 1 year ago, and you thought that 1 year ago you were at the top of your game. Like
Hmm.
for example, like last year, like not this past Molokai, but the year before, I was on like an 816 momentum, and I was like, "Bruh, I never ride that. It's too big, it's too slow. I can't believe that
Hmm.
that was like my choice of wing." And
Hmm.
just what you were riding, how were you riding, how good your pop up was, you know,
Right.
um, how clean and efficient your lines were, how composed your body is, how composed your posture is,
Hmm.
how aggressive you can be, and all of that. And I think what I'm learning is that every single year, I'm blown away at how much I'm learning. So I have no idea where it's going,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can see, all I know is that from all the traveling that I've done, that, um, you know, there's so much places around the world that has insane, windy, bumpy, downwindable conditions. And like I've made this example before, where like this is kind of like where surfing was in like, I don't know, in like the 60s, when it was like
Yeah.
endless summer and they find all these like waves and they're like blown away,
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm. And the
you go
communities
to
that come with it. Yeah.
community, the community, everyone's, because of how tough this sport is, that it's it's humbling, and you know um it's so high level, but yeah, like everyone, it's still pretty respectful, and there are like rivalries, but it's at the end of the day, we're all enthusiasts for downwinding, and for time in the ocean, time in the water, and
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm happy that gear gets better. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
The companies that
I'm happy.
are pushing for it too is insane. Like there's a lot more companies backing the sport and getting their riders
Yeah,
going with things. Yeah.
yeah, and it's, for me, like I said, a lot of us get so stoked and like cheer you guys on, like when guys like you, Nate, and John, and Zeke, and or all these other crossover athletes, whether they're like Olympic sailors or Olympic windsurfers, and we've seen it over the years where like downwinding seems to draw all sorts of watermen and water athletes from all over the world, and so it
Mm.
just kind of like validates, like, bro, like this is the sickest sport, We're
Yeah,
stoked,
yeah.
and it's and it's only growing, and like for example, I went to Brazil in last September, and bruh, best probably one of the best places in the world to downwind in Brazil, northern Brazil,
I
and
saw
we were
that.
up there,
Those videos you're posting. It's crazy.
bruh. It's so good over there. It's like 30 miles an hour every day. You don't even have to think about it. Like it's like nobody checks the wind forecast over there because it's just like, all right, 9 o'clock the wind comes. And
Yeah.
but like I said, when I look back, I trip because like me and that guy Mizo were the only ones downwinding, and everyone's like, kiting or windsurfing. And I just know that there's so much potential and room for growth in places like that, and just places
Yeah.
all over the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're all surfers, right? So we've paid attention to places in the world where there's waves and there's reefs and there's point breaks and there's, like where the swells are.
Yeah.
And like now we're starting to like, bro, where's our wind? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro, people, you go to France or something or the Mediterranean, and they get those Mistral winds where it blows like 40 to 50 miles an hour for 4 days straight. So imagine on that fourth day, like how gnarly and angry the wind
Yeah.
is, the ocean is.
Yeah.
Like it's bizarre. Like
Yeah.
we come back home to Hawaii and like you're like, well, I guess Hawaii is good for downwinding because the water is warm and it's like it's nice, it's blue, you know.
Right. Right. Right.
But like there's potential all over the world. Gear's only getting better. Racing is only getting more and more competitive.
Yeah.
Um, we're seeing more and more women get into the sport. We're seeing more and more like youth and kids get into the sport,
Big time.
and even old people, uncles,
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Hearn, Jeff
Yeah.
Chang, and still can, and
Yeah.
it's for me, like, bro, like I know for sure what I'm going to be doing for the next 30, 40 years, and
Seriously. Yeah.
bro, I'm stoked. But what about you, bro? What do you see, or what do you see yourself like for the rest of the winter, or like, or
Um,
these next coming years, racing, exploring, or like
yeah. No,
what
just
about?
trying to stay healthy for the most
Yeah.
part. You know, just when it's windy, jump on the foil. When it's surf conditions, surf. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm I want to do some channel crossings in the Holopuni this year, and then jump
Yeah.
on. I want to do that M2M and the M2O with everybody.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
that'll seem pretty fun. Like just see everybody and get that race jitter and line up and square up, rub shoulders and see see what we can do. I mean, like I
Mhm.
said, I'm not fast, so just kind of gonna go to experience crossing again and do that. But I definitely want to cross a lot of the islands. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's just this year, but I I think just the views on all those outer islands could be so nice, and
Oh
just
yeah.
check out all those little bays and the crossings. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, it's our backyard where we grew up, so we gotta kind of go explore our home,
Mm-hmm.
and like
It,
it's
it's
so accessible now.
Yeah, like say for example, and I don't mean to like be blowing it up, and I hope and it's not coming off that way, but like for us guys, it's like, in what other scenario could we go and foil like someplace like the Nepali coast and like just be in awe of the waterfalls going into the ocean, and then
Oh
while we're
yeah,
surfing the ocean and doing all kinds of stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's yeah,
yeah. No, the
it's
Nepali is insane, man.
mhm,
That
yeah, for sure.
even I did a race there on the stand-up board one year, and we were like surfing down the coast. Like I was connecting maybe like a 50-yard line. And I was like, oh, like screaming at the top of my lungs. And then I
Yeah.
when we had the GoFoil, I went and rented a boat over there with some friends, and we flew over and like took the GoFoil and did the coast on that thing. It was like just on the little prone board. And this was like early on, somewhere around 2018 or 2019. And dude, that
Hmm.
coast was insane. Just looking up, like kind of shot way on the inside by that one waterfall. Like after Kai Lenny did that race, like, dude, it was insane. I want to do that race again, but this year was like no win for it. Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We gotta, well,
But yeah,
we gotta
it's
for sure go adventure, you know.
yeah. I definitely want to link with you guys and ride more and you know, yeah, always.
Sick, man. Well, yeah, yeah, man. That was a great conversation. I loved all the concepts and all the stories. You got any last things you want to share or talk about or say anything, shout outs to
Um,
anybody for anything, any reason?
Mm, Probably, yeah. My wife and kids for always
Smart man,
saying, "Yeah, Dad, go for it. Enjoy, have fun out there."
Mhm.
Um, Dude, yeah, I linked up. I got a little deal with Quicksilver too. Stoked. They're supporting my water endeavors, so along with foiling and pumped on that. Yeah, Olukai and stoked to have a little bit of backing to keep the party going right now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
super
You got to keep
pumped.
making those offshore investments, man. You know,
Yeah,
it pays off.
yeah. Right
Right
on. It
on,
was
man.
good talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was an honor, and for sure we'll be voyaging together
Very
soon in the
soon.
future, and riding some big bumps and doing some crazy runs. And we gotta make sure that we avenge Moses and Edo on that run and do all kind of cool stuff in the future. So yeah, stoked, bro.
Yeah, of course. Hey, I'll
Cruise,
leave
bro.
this thing on for a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. Here, let me. Yeah.